Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Bienvenidos una vez más al canal de Ufo-Spain Magazine en YouTube. Hoy traigo una entrevista que la verdad es que me ha costado bastante tiempo el poder editarla y subirla, pero la verdad que creo que merece mucho la pena, ya que habla de la situación que estamos viviendo actualmente en nuestro planeta. Y tengo que decir que esta entrevista estaba programada para finales de 2019, aunque al final la hicimos en enero, a principios de 2020. Pero vamos a entrar un poquito en perspectiva. Vamos a ver de qué va esto un poquito. Hace más de 20 años, un grupo de individuos de varios mundos diferentes se reunió en una discreta localización de nuestro sistema solar, cerca de la Tierra, y con el único propósito de observar la intervención extraterrestre que está ocurriendo en nuestro mundo. Desde su oculto punto de observación, fueron capaces de determinar la identidad, la organización y las intenciones de aquellos que están visitando nuestro planeta, así como de monitorizar las actividades de estos visitantes. Este grupo de observadores se llaman a sí mismos los aliados de la humanidad. Los discursos de estos aliados de la humanidad presentan una asombrosa nueva revelación sobre la intervención extraterrestre encubierta y sobre cómo ésta se está aprovechando del conflicto humano, de la discordia religiosa y del colapso medioambiental para causar más separación y controlar a una familia humana dividida. La llegada de las fuerzas intervinientes más allá de nuestro mundo, en un momento de cambios sin precedentes, representa el mayor evento en la historia humana y el mayor desafío para la supervivencia y la libertad de la humanidad. Aunque él es hoy poco conocido en el mundo, puede que Marshall B. Summers sea reconocido en última instancia como el más importante maestro espiritual emergiendo durante toda nuestra vida. Por más de 20 años, él ha estado escribiendo y enseñando discretamente una espiritualidad que reconoce la innegable realidad de que la humanidad vive en un vasto y poblado universo, y ahora necesita urgentemente prepararse para el desafío de emerger a una comunidad mayor de vida inteligente. Marshall es también el fundador de la Sociedad para el Camino del Conocimiento de la Comunidad Mayor, una organización religiosa no lucrativa. Con los aliados de la humanidad, Marshall habla de una clara advertencia sobre la verdadera naturaleza de la intervención extraterrestre que está ocurriendo hoy en el mundo, llamando a la responsabilidad personal, a la preparación y a la conciencia colectiva. Y bueno, la misión de Reed Summers, su hijo, es presentar al mundo la perspectiva de los aliados de la humanidad sobre la realidad del contacto. Reed está promoviendo esta educación y preparación esenciales para que la humanidad pueda cruzar con éxito este umbral evolutivo y mantener nuestra libertad y soberanía mientras nos preparamos para emerger en una comunidad mayor de vida inteligente en el universo. Y durante más de 12 años, Reed Summers ha estado trabajando en nombre de los aliados de la humanidad y en el conjunto de textos revolucionarios que revelan la agenda secreta de esas fuerzas extraterrestres que están presentes en nuestro mundo. Estas sesiones informativas proporcionan una imagen clara de quién está aquí, por qué están aquí y qué están haciendo en la Tierra. Vamos a ver esa entrevista. Reed Summers, thank you very much for taking your time to be with us. And first question of all, well, you grew up listening to your father. How it was for you as a child, and well, also as a grown-up man.
Yeah.
To listen to your father, what he was telling, what he was writing, what it was for you.
Yeah, well, as some of your listeners know, for over 30 years my father has been in the process of receiving a divine communication about humanity's place in the larger universe of intelligent life, what the message calls the greater community. And he's also been receiving a set of briefings from a group of observers who've come to the vicinity of the world, who call themselves the Allies of Humanity, whose purpose is to observe the ET intervention in our world and report on its activities and help us understand our position evolutionarily, stepping into a larger universe. So that said, as a kid growing up, it was different. but it was also special. And I could see that my father was receiving something from beyond the human realm, certainly beyond his own personal interests or inquiries or research, that had huge bearing on the future of our world. And I could see my father was on a mission. And it wasn't a mission of his making. He had been mysteriously chosen to receive this body of communication, and had this mission to bring it to people and give it to them, to help prepare them for what could be the biggest step forward for the human race, which is contact with extraterrestrial life and participation in a larger cosmos beyond our world. So I saw my father involved in that, and I was trying to be a normal kid and do what normal kids do and have friends, and of course I did all that, and I had my own life plans and direction, and there was never any pressure from my father or my mother to join them in this work or even read these this message or study it or become a student of it. I just kind of slowly did that over time.
Also, when did you really start in this movement or spreading the word of your father?
That would have been, let's see, probably when I was about 21.
Oh, to the age of 21.
So, yeah, so after high school, I followed my own mystery journey and my own inner voice prompting me to leave home, to go out into the world. I lived in the Middle East for about a year, learned languages, traveled, worked, met people, experienced humanity, and back home, my father was continuing on with his work to bring forward the Allies of Humanity briefings, primarily at that time. And it was actually a few years before I came home to assist him that I had kind of a revelation of my own when my father was giving a lecture on the Allies briefings here where we live in Colorado, in the United States.
You also had your own kind of revelation.
Well, a personal revelation. I would say a revelation of my own personal calling and connection to the world, to the greater community, and to this message that my father Marshall was bringing forward. No, but I did not have my own revelation as he did, because, and we could talk about Marshall's story, but for Marshall, beginning 36 years or more in the past, a very powerful angelic contact occurred for him and called him into the deserts, out of society, out of his work, and it was in the desert that he was overcome with this angelic presence and instructed to begin recording a series of messages for the world. And these messages would focus upon the reality of knowledge or inner knowing, our deeper conscience, and how that deeper conscience is connected to the greater evolutionary track the world is on, moving into this universe of life, making contact with other forms of life.
So basically this is the message, because now you are answering me. Let's say that your father is considered a prophet, or a kind of prophet in some circles. I'm going to be the bad guy now here. What do you have to say about all these fake prophets or people that want to take advantage of another people, taking money, take profit of it? How can we say that this organization is not the same? So sorry for being the bad guy here.
Yeah, that's okay. You're playing the devil's advocate, sure. Well, I mean, at all times in human history, there have been charismatic people or movements that have tried to take advantage of people's sense of insecurity, sense of anticipation, or the overall change occurring in the world. So I don't think it's anything new that there's both the authentic divine communication and the inauthentic. For me, what it really comes down to is the message itself. Is the message plausible? Or is it totally wild and crazy with crazy cosmology, expecting you to believe that? Is it plausible? Does it reveal observable phenomena that we can actually see in the world? And then lastly, where does it put the power? Does it put the power within you? Does it keep you in the driver's seat of your life? Or does it try to put you in the back seat of somebody else driving your life? And that could be a charismatic leader, that could be an extraterrestrial presence. And many extraterrestrial messages do promote that we are inherently weak and we do not have a right to rule this world, and we need foreign intervention, divine intervention to save us, to redeem us, to heal the planet, and so forth. So I think, it's up to everyone to discern the truth, and that's your own inner guidance system, discerning, is this true, is this not, is this true, is this not? And I would never tell someone, well, this is true, just believe it. Everybody has to feel that out for themselves. But in the end, what is the message? What does it call you to do? Where does it put the power? And does it align you with reality, or does it distance you from reality into delusion? And I think, for me, the new message from God, received by my father, as well as the Allies briefings, it's a powerful alignment with reality. It absolutely empowers you to take control of your life and protect your mind from many different forms of influence and manipulation, and prepare yourself to participate in a greater movement of life out into the universe itself, which is really the next step for us as a race.
I really believe so. You talked about God, and also, well, your father was talking and was writing about also God, angels. When you talk about God, what do you mean about God?
Yeah, great questions. Two-part question. What is the God spoken of by my father in the new message from God? And then how do we make contact with such a God, or how do we interact with it? The God revealed in the new message is the creator of the universe. It's not a local God. It's not the Father in the sky. It's not a human projection, a judgmental Lord who's lording over us children. It's a presence. It's a force. It's a will that moves life forward in the universe and is slowly bringing life together, or unifying life through the power of relationship. That could be a relationship between two people. It could be a relationship between two races. And so this is the God that the new message reveals. And it is, in essence, the God of a greater panorama of life. So the new message is revealing that we live in a universe of billions and billions and billions of intelligent, sentient forms of life. They are as much a part of God's creation as we are. They're as central to the story as we are. So with this revelation about the greater community of life in the universe comes a revelation about God of the greater community. And it requires an expansion of our sense of what divinity is. What is beyond human manifest form? What is permanent, essential to our greater being across many lifetimes even? And so the new message describes God primarily as a force, as a presence that infuses all life. It's stripped away of all the notions of a father, of a lord, of all the anecdotes and historical imagery that we have put on God. And it really expands us beyond all of that to the experience. It makes God an experience beyond words, beyond religions, beyond dogma.
Yeah, well, it's not really God, it's the religion, it's the religion what separates us.
Yeah.
Well, with this higher power, do you have any kind of connection? Do you work for it, or any kind of connection with this higher?
Yeah, so for over 30 years, Marshall Dion Summers has been receiving what is called the new message from God, which is a revelation from the creator of all life, given to prepare our world for its next evolutionary step out into this larger universe. So this message comes from God, comes from this divine presence that it's a presence that understands our place in the universe, humanity, a young emerging world, and knows that a preparation is needed. And so this preparation was sent to my father through an angelic intermediary, and that is what you would now find in the books of the new message, of which there are many, many books. So the message comes from God. It also reveals a pathway of experiencing God originally in your life. And part of that pathway is called Steps to Knowledge. And all these texts are free online for people to read and to study. So
also the books, they talk about what we are going to face as a human race, right? In the near future. I mean, we are facing environmental disasters, hurricanes, volcanoes, and also we can face an extraterrestrial contact in the following years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think we will manage as human beings?
I think we're in trouble, and I think we're ill prepared. I think we have great gifts, great assets as a human species. I mean, the power of compassion, selfless giving, our connection to the environment is still very real for many people, but we're in a world that is unbelievably noisy, unbelievably scattered and distracted, in which there's a lot of fracturing going on, micro-fracturing within society, within religions, and that's not just random. There's reasons for that. Why is that this way now? Part of the reason is that we are undergoing contact with other forms of intelligence. Their intelligence is changing the mental environment of the world. People are feeling this, though they can't account for it. They don't know what they're feeling. And so this hastening of life, this overstimulation of the mind, this ungrounded quality that I'm sure we've all experienced and see in each other, is in part because our world is racing towards a precipice, both of contact with other forms of intelligence, which is its own seminal historic event, and we're also racing towards these environmental cliffs, climate change, ecological collapse, sea level rise, desertification, the loss of arable land, the possible threat of pandemic, which are more outside risks, but we're racing towards this cliff. And the new message from God really reveals that it is a cliff, and you have to slow down and go carefully down that cliff, cross the river, and then go up the other side. And if you can do that, you enter a new phase of human life in the world. And the new message presents a prophetic vision of what that would be like. What would it be like to be in a world where we have stabilized our environment, we have unified our world functionally, such that we can participate in a larger universe of affairs beyond us? It actually paints that picture. But to answer your question, how will we fare? I think we're in trouble. We're very late. Very few people understand certainly what contact is and what it means. And to be honest, this is exactly why the new message from God is here. Why would there be a revelation from God in our present time? People ask, why would we ever need that? Aren't we doing fine down here?
We are really on the cliff. I mean, we have to jump off the cliff. I mean, there is not much time for, at least for us, for human beings in this planet, as we are destroying it.
Yeah.
But
so the new message from God is strong medicine for a world that is ailing badly, is in great need of some medicine, which is vision, which is compassion, which is direction, purpose, a preparation. So that's what the new message is.
But our leaders, the leaders of the world, they should be more aware of this, or are they already in contact with another alien beings that they are promoting all these kind of changes in the earth? What do you think about this?
Sure. Well, let's talk about the ET presence first, and then talk about the government connection.
All right. Yeah. Sure.
So the ET presence, as revealed in the Allies of Humanity briefings received by my father, again by this group of observers who, out of great concern, came to the vicinity of the world to observe who was already here, what they were doing, and why, what their end game was. The Allies of Humanity gave 4 sets of briefings, and so what I'll share with you is directly from those briefings. In essence, what we're facing is a quiet colonization of our world. The reason being, our world has rare resources that are not common out there in the vastness of space, a universe of barren worlds. Our world is a rare gem in the universe. Second, its strategic position is very important, something we would not otherwise know without the Allies briefings. And lastly is us, we, the workforce, because the intervention, nor any extraterrestrial presence, they cannot dwell here because of the biological hazard of our world. Our world is is like a germ bomb in the universe. You can't just come here, step out of your spacecraft and start and take over. You need the natives. So we are part of the resource. And in essence, what we're facing is that. It's a colonization effort to gain access to the world, its resources, and its people. And the Allies of Humanity call this overall agenda the intervention. And the intervention is a consortium of different economic groups in our local region of space who are here really to take advantage of the natives and gain access to what's underneath the soil on which they stand.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much like an oil company in Venezuela. We are the natives of a new world. We have what others want.
Yes.
It's basically that simple. And that has borne out over many decades now to become a program of colonization, which has 4 major activities and has tried to work its way into different governments, some successful, some not. So from there we can talk about if you'd like that agenda and how the governments might be connected to it.
Yeah, sure. Because people are concerned about all the environmental disasters, everything that we are facing, but not the leaders. So that makes us think that something is going on behind the curtain, you know?
Yeah.
So it must be an agenda, something behind the collaboration.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of interests. There are a lot of agendas, you could say. Some of them are simply to maximize profits from natural resources. That's part of it. Part of it is to maintain national supremacy over another nation. Mm-hmm. That's part of it. Part of it is that governments don't have an answer, and they want to control public opinion and try their best to steer it in a good way, thinking that the populace could never handle the truth. That's part of it. And then on top of all of that, you have an extraterrestrial presence who has a long-term colonization goal, and they're going to work with whoever they can to get that goal met, making promises of free technology, promises of world supremacy, promises of religious supremacy. And those promises have been made, and some have been accepted. And so I know people are very concerned about government agendas or conspiracies regarding domination of the world, its people, its resources. The key there is understand that there is a conspiracy behind human conspiracies, and that is the extraterrestrial conspiracy. That is the larger driver. That is the one that is pushing people, knowingly or unknowingly, in government, commerce, religion, down a road. They may not even know why they're being pushed. Or if they do, it's simply to profit their company, let's say. But really something else is pushing them from behind. And that is what we need to become aware of.
What you're saying, I have no words.
Yeah, it is amazing. If true, greatest event in human history, right there, no doubt, that there is a quiet presence in our world steering it toward division, ecological collapse.
So they are not just experimenting on us. Because I've heard also about programs of hybrids, all kind of conspiracy theories. But what you're saying makes sense. It makes a lot of sense, and it's quite astonishing.
And it's worth stopping and asking why are there so many conspiracies about human government or human secret elite groups? Why are we so fixated on each other?
Yeah.
Why has the questioning of the extraterrestrial agenda gone quiet in recent years? I rarely hear anyone talk about what they want, what they're doing, their end game. It's all about a secret government, commercial group, elite group, and their agenda and end game. So something is focusing us on each other, creating a smokescreen, a cloud of competing conspiracy theories through which you cannot see clearly at all. And all the while, they are in our skies, they are taking people against their will, they are making deals, and we're not even questioning that. Wow. So this is the classic strategy of intervention. This is what happened in the New World in the Americas when the European powers came, landed, said they were gods, showed off their advanced technology, pitted the native peoples against one another, made secret alliances with certain receptive chieftains or leaders, and promised them wealth and superiority in technology.
So are we in a hopeless situation? As human race?
Absolutely not. No. Well, there are many factors on our side, even still, even with very few people aware of this. First off, we are a world of 7 billion unruly individuals, okay? And contact is being made by perhaps a few thousand advanced individuals with great technology and tactics and so forth, but still they need us. They need us to accept their presence here. There's no way that they can overwhelm us. And you see this again in the historical record of humanity, where a small group of a few dozen conquistadors convinced the leader to allow them right to his doorstep, right into the heart of the empire. And they couldn't have done it without them welcoming the foreign presence. And so really all it takes is a few percentages of humanity becoming aware we are being visited. This world is rare in the universe and likely will be coveted by others, desired by others. We are undergoing contact with forces who are doing dark things in the world. And almost everything we know they're doing, whether it's abductions, secret government agreements, is dark in nature. It does not signal a beneficial intent. And therefore what we're dealing with is probably an intervention, and we need to sound the alarm, say no to that intervention, and raise awareness amongst other people. If a few percentage points of humanity could see that clear picture and respond, that would do wonders. And so that's one of the ways in which we have great assets on our side, and there are certainly others.
Do you think that these allies, they could show up one day to all humankind? I mean, like a massive show up.
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
and they specifically say why they cannot. They're here to observe. To step into our world, to quote, intervene themselves, would be to make a commitment they couldn't make. It would be to enter militarily. This is a small group from a long, long, long way away. They're not in a position to step in and take control. Also, they want the power to stay with us. This is all about the native peoples claiming their sovereignty and protecting their world. So to show up and have everybody look at them and think that they will remove this negative extraterrestrial presence, or they will save us, or they will give us technology to heal our environment, it totally shortwires that process of the native peoples slowly uniting, slowly resolving conflict, taking up their authority. And lastly, if they did so, it would reveal them to the intervention, and their own home worlds do not want to be revealed to the intervention.
Well, so these allies of humanity, they say which kind of beings we can trust, or which ones we cannot trust. Do they specify about extraterrestrial species?
So decades ago, the Allies said that there were many different races in our world for different purposes. Some were neighbors, simply neutral, simply here to watch. Some were here attempting to reach people to warn them about the intervention that would later come. And the intervention was here as well. What the Allies have said is that all potentially beneficial races to humanity have withdrawn from our world. In part because if they're here, it would be almost impossible for us to discern friend from foe. They say they're here for our good, so do they. They're actually the intervention. How would you discern which is which, right?
Yeah.
What can they do in the face of the intervention? There's not a war over the earth. The earth is a backwater. The earth is like a tribe in the jungle. And the only people knocking on the door of the tribe are those who want something from this tribe. Okay? Yes, potentially some friendly missionaries wandered through a few years ago, warning us of who was really going to be coming. But they can't advance this tribe.
Wow.
And so the Allies make clear, those in the world today are here because they want something. And by and large, what they want is access to the world and its resources. And I know that's not the message we want to hear. We want to hear there's good and bad. And I know there's that dichotomy out there. Well, there's got to be good if there's bad. And that's not true. Again, the native peoples of North America, what tall ships were off the coast good and bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some said they were good. Some were Portuguese, some were Spanish, some were French. Good and bad? No. They're all there to compete for the same thing. It was a clear and present danger, and the native peoples were not able to discern that. And that is the story of the Americas. That's the story of South America. That's the story of Southeast Asia. That is the story of how the world became the way it is today, which is aggressive powers seeking resources.
It's the history, basically, of humankind, all the empires. I mean,
absolutely. And the new message makes clear that the universe is nature. It's not that the earth is primitive and low and the universe is advanced and spiritual. What we see on earth is what we see out there, just on a vast scale and a more advanced scale. But competition for resources is the way life works.
That's it.
And so it's time to understand that and treat those visiting our world as potentially those coming to compete with us.
What do you think that it will be the event, let's say, that will wake up, I mean, most of the common people? I mean, there's something that must trigger something must happen, you know, for all humankind to wake up. I mean,
to wake up to the ET presence, or in
to the ET presence, to the interventions, to all what's happening in the world.
Good question. I have to pray that people waking up themselves, reaching out to friends, family, reaching out on the internet, slowly building a grassroots response, even if it's 1% of the world. That's a lot of people. See, one important thing to understand here that we would not know without the Allies briefings is that there are governing powers in our local region of space that prohibit invasion, but allow intervention if it is welcomed by the natives. 1% of people on this planet saying no is a voice that would be heard beyond this world. And that voice, if it's saying this is an invasion, this is a colonization, they are not welcome here, they have not disclosed their purpose in being here, that right there could end the intervention. And so who are the allies of humanity? That's the question. There's the allies of humanity is a small group who came to ignite allies of humanity on the ground. So the question is, are we ready to be allies of humanity? Because the enemies of humanity are all over. And many don't even know that they're the enemies of humanity. They've simply been won over with promises, and which appeal to their own sense of hopelessness about humanity and the world, their own depression. But what we need now are real allies of humanity who can be advocates for the future of this race, its unity, its sovereignty, its stability in the world, its self-sufficiency in the world. And that's what I'm a part of helping build, and looking for those who feel called to be a part of that.
And for finishing now, we're going to talk about the books. How many books they have?
So there are four books from the Allies of Humanity, and then there are over 12 books of the New Message from God, and many more coming. Mm-hmm.
They are all translated into Spanish?
Many are, yeah. So the Allies and the New Message are being translated into 30 languages. Spanish is one of the most translated, and all of the texts we put free online. So alliesofhumanity.org is where you can read the Allies in Spanish, and newmessage.org. There's a Spanish website which has tons and tons of the New Message translated.
We recommend your books, the books of Allies of Humanity. And I'm really thankful. I'm really grateful that you were here today with us,
you, Fran.
Sharing all the information. And I don't know if you want to say just a few more words.
Well, a moment ago you called it a movement, and I think it is. It's a movement on the inside as well, because there are people in the world who feel a natural connection to life in the universe, like always have. And it's made it hard to fit into the world and just be human and just do the stuff of this world. So, when you read the Allies briefings, if you're one of these people who has a greater community orientation, man, it's like coming home. It's like, wow, I always knew this was true, and the message about the ET presence, like you said, and this is what struck me back when I was 16 years old, hearing my father speak, it's like, this makes total sense. I mean, there's no strange or fishy claim here or wild cosmology. I mean, this sounds like nature. This sounds like reality, and it puts the pieces together.
Yeah, connecting the dots. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, and
so for those who have been reading about ufology for a long time, Allies Book 1, that would be important to read, because that just pieces it together pretty quickly into a picture. And now that you have a picture, you can respond to it. You're not stuck in the mystery, stuck in confusion, trying to piece these puzzle pieces that never fit. That's always the way it feels. And that's because the world of ufology has been polluted with a lot of false information that does not fit. And so it takes something very clear to come in and say, and just wipe off the board half those pieces. And these are the pieces that fit. So I think your viewers will have some relief and like a personal revelation around this, that, oh my God, this is what's been happening.
I really believe so. I really believe so. And hopefully more people will be aware and awake of what's happening in the world. And well, Reed, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran.
For being here with us. And I'm sure all our followers will ask for more. So we will keep in contact for maybe a second video, right?
Absolutely. Let me know. I'm available.
Sure. Thank you very much, Reed. Have a very nice day.
Thank you.
Over there. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye.